angles of his finish as he gets into the lane.
Yeah, he's up to 28. Of course, the second leading scorer in the NBA, Joe, goes right around.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And I'm not talking about the Lakers being exposed last night in a 43-point ass whooping by the Oklahoma City Thunder, who, by the way, I think the Thunder are one of the most unlikable, most unwatchable teams in the NBA. But I'm not talking about LeBron James being the worst player on the court last night either, if you base your analysis on plus minus, which I don't. But according to the dorks who play fantasy basketball, LeBron was the worst player on the court last night with a plus minus of minus 37, which means the Lakers were outscored by 37 points when LeBron was on the court. But that was not the worst part of that game last night, because once again, Bronny James was put into a situation where the end result was huge, embarrassing failure. You know, I feel bad for Bronny James, and what happened last night was exactly why I was concerned for Bronny James 2 years ago when the Lakers drafted him to appease his father. The spawn of Bron wasn't ready for prime time when he was drafted in 2024, and here we are 2 years later, and Bronny James still ain't ready. Have you guys ever heard of the Fredo effect? Well, Uncle KC, are you talking about Chris Cuomo? Hey, it's me, Chrissy C. No, the Fredo effect applies to family businesses. Family businesses are often overrun with nepotism. There's a theory, and it's backed by evidence, that the third generation in the family, they are often responsible for killing the family business. The grandfather, he starts the business. Maybe he starts the business in his own garage. He's dealing with the insurmountable pressure of making the business succeed because he's got a wife and children who are depending on him for survival. That level of motivation, it's often enough for a man to accomplish anything. The young son, he starts working alongside his father in the family business. Growing up, he sees the father struggle. While his friends are on vacation for spring break, he's working the business with his dad because they don't have the money for a vacation. Plus, they can't afford to take an unpaid week off from work. The son, he ends up inheriting the business, and he raises his son the same way that he was raised. But there's one major difference. Once the second generation takes over, the business is already established, which means the son in the third generation, which would be the grandson, he doesn't witness the struggle. He doesn't see the hunger, the motivation, the hours, the years that it took to build the business. The grandson grows up with a golden spoon in his mouth. Once he takes over the business, it's only a matter of time before it's destroyed. Motivation is not hereditary. Talent is not hereditary. LeBron James grew up as a poor kid in Akron, Ohio. Now, sure, he had God-given talent, but growing up, he was hungry. He was motivated to maximize his God-given talent to make it to the NBA. This is no disrespect to Bronny James, but he just didn't grow up with that same level of hunger. It's not really possible when your dad is a billionaire. It is abundantly clear Bronny James is not ready for the NBA. But for some reason, the Lakers continue putting him on the court, and Bronny James continues to be exposed. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel's in the description below. Earlier today on the second channel, talked about LeBron James and several star NBA players taking a verbal dump on the city of Memphis. Also, wanted to give you guys a heads up, and I'll remind you guys several times throughout the week next week. Next Friday, I will be leaving for vacation. We'll be out of the country for 8 or 9 days. There will be no videos during that time. I was going to prep a few videos ahead of time, but with Chewy passing last week after spending the last 4 months fighting cancer, I just haven't had it in me to double up on my workload to prepare videos for while I'll be gone. Plus, to be honest with you, I kind of need the break, so when you don't see me for a week in the middle of April, that's why. Since the All-Star break, the Lakers have been one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Now, according to the mainstream media, this team is amazing! The Lakers now have championship aspirations. They are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. That myth was quickly busted last night as the Lakers got their ass kicked by the Oklahoma City Thunder. But the Bruce Caboose, that was not the biggest story last night. The biggest story coming out of the game was a second-round draft pick in his second year in the league being allowed to run the point, and the unmitigated disaster that unfolded. Once the game was out of reach, the game was out of reach after the first quarter once the Thunder built a 23-point lead, but once the game was officially out of reach in the third quarter, JJ Redick, he decided to put Bronny James in the game, and the spawn of Bron was going to run the point. Now, in the vast majority of cases, when a team is up 30, 40 points late in the third quarter, the defense will ease up a bit. The team with the lead, they're trying to run out the clock. They're not playing aggressive because they don't want to risk injury. They just want the game to be over. But once Bronny James entered the game last night, the Thunder immediately clamped down defensively, and they showed Bronny James that he ain't ready to play at this level. Watch for yourself.
Into the lane.
Yeah, he's up to 28. Of course, the second leading scorer in the NBA off a turnover. 18 for Oklahoma City, 14 for Joe. They got it again.
That home can say, or we can even say, you should double team SGA.
They steal it again.
Now, why would the Thunder do this? Why would they go out of their way, not once, not twice, but 3 times, to publicly embarrass Bronny James? Well, Uncle KC, they were just playing good defense. They weren't trying to embarrass the spawn of Bron. You know, in my 30-plus years watching this league, I've watched a lot of NBA games. When you have a 30, 40-point lead late in the game, clamping down on defense, that is not your top priority. So, why would the Thunder clamp down on Bronny James? My guess is they were sending him a message. Think about this from the perspective of a young NBA player. Cason Wallace was the primary defender on Bronny James last night. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, started 32 games at Kentucky, was drafted 10th overall in the 2023 draft. Cason Wallace had to bust his ass to get to the NBA. Meanwhile, Bronny James, he barely touched the court at USC, which was one of the worst teams in the country. He leaves USC. He's given a sympathy contract from the Lakers worth a few $1 million, all because they wanted to appease his father. Now, if you were Cason Wallace and you got the rare opportunity to defend Bronny James, wouldn't you go out of your way to send a message? Wouldn't you pick him up full court in a 40-point blowout? The other night, Bronny James played 26 minutes against the Wizards. It was the first time that he was given major minutes since he played 25 minutes against the Spurs right before the All-Star break. 26 minutes against arguably the worst team in the league. The Wizards are begging to lose. They are playing G League players who probably get released if they have the audacity to win a game. In 26 minutes against the worst team in the league, Bronny James shot 20% from the field with 6 points and 2 turnovers. Now, to his credit, he was perfect from the free throw line where he managed to knock down 2 free throws. There are rumors that this will be LeBron's final season in Los Angeles. Won't be his final season in the NBA, but it's more than likely his final season with the Lakers. Well, what if he takes a pay cut? Maybe the Lakers will keep him if he accepts the league minimum. LeBron is still a great player at 41 years old, but I don't think the Lakers can move forward with LeBron James on the roster. I don't think this can truly be Luka's team with LeBron standing in the shadows. Plus, you're not winning a championship with 3 starters who can't play defense. But if this is his final season with the Lakers, LeBron James, he'll obviously be fine. There are rumors that he could end his NBA career in Cleveland with the Cavs. If he does sign with Cleveland, it will be the biggest story in the league throughout next season. And LeBron James will get the farewell tour that he wants and that he deserves. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying the fact that LeBron has earned a farewell tour. But what happens to Bronny? Bronny James has played 64 games in his NBA career. He's averaging just over 2 points a game. Everyone knows that the only reason he is in the league is because LeBron wanted to spend time with his son, which is fine. That's fine. But those days are coming to an end. Those days will soon be over. They've been given 2 years. Once LeBron walks out of the arena in Los Angeles for the final time, Bronny James will be walking out with him. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.